Hello, I'm Adam Brennan and I pastor at Gateway Christian Fellowship. And I'm blessed to be able to share the status of Gateway's current expansion project as we go through the summer and fall and what's next for us. To begin, this project that we're nearing completion on has been in the heart of this church for 40 years. In the 1980s, in fact, a vision was birthed to build our facility out in 3 distinct phases. And we are on the cusp of fulfilling the third and final phase of that vision. Here's an artistic rendition of our final proposed building from 2020. And here's how it's turned out. And I want to say that it looked great in the drawing, but I think it looks even better in real life. This expansion project has added a total of 6,600 square feet of space to our current footprint, which includes a 3,300 square foot fellowship hall and kitchen as our top story, along with 3,300 square feet below that, which is a youth room, classrooms, a restroom, and an office for our youth pastor. Many of you have seen our expansion in person, at least the exterior of it. It looks great and is highly functional. Let's talk about what's left now to occupy the space. Well, beginning with the interior. At this point, there are only 2 small items left in the interior, which include installation of a roll-up window in the kitchen space and installation of a bay of cabinets in the fellowship hall. Both of these are minor, and neither is required for occupancy. Moving on to the exterior, I'll begin with 3 important required items, which include a grab rail for our access ramp, a safety fence for the access ramp, and landscaping and irrigation. These 3 items are required for occupancy. Work on all 5 of these items, both interior and exterior, is ongoing, and good news, we have funds for them all. In fact, everything you see that's been done on this project, plus these remaining interior and exterior items, which I just mentioned, are all covered debt-free. You have been amazingly generous as a church, and the Lord has blessed us as we've gone through this project. Let's thank the Lord for His goodness. Now, is there anything else left to complete besides these items? And the answer to that is yes, there is. I'd like to talk about those items next. The elders of the church and I have met multiple times this year to talk about finances and spending priorities. We've been careful not to spend what we don't have and to be good stewards of the funds that we do have. And one of the points of discussion has been to identify all of the need areas that we see and then in turn prioritize them so that we focus on the needs that are strategically most significant for the church. What we chose to do as elders is to identify 5 project priorities for this summer and fall that we'd like to pursue next as a church. In the remainder of this video, I'd like to present those to you. Remember, everything I've talked about up to this point is already covered funding-wise, and the rest of what I'm about to share will be pursued as funds are made available. Here are the 5 priorities and estimates for each. The first 2 listed are actually the final steps of our expansion project. So they tie into expansion and will signify the official end of expansion when we complete them. However, we should be able to move into our expansion prior to having these 2 fully complete. In other words, we hope to occupy the expansion as we are working on those top 2 projects from the list. The other 3 projects here are smaller in size and scope, but yet important. This is a project funding drive that we're launching this summer, which we are calling Paving the Way. You can see the approximate amounts listed on the screen for each of these 5 projects. Let me explain these projects so that you know what they consist of. Beginning with the sidewalk and front entryway renovation. I pulled up a schematic of our grounds with the parking lot on the left and the building on the right. I've highlighted our building so that you can see it. Let's zoom in on the building a bit. Now I'm going to take the markings away and you can see more clearly. At the top of the screen is the entry into our parking lot. As of right now, our general contractor has already completed a concrete access walkway all the way around the building, from the front of the expansion around to the back. Brand new sidewalk, which I've highlighted in blue on the schematic. The new sidewalks still need to be tied into the old. However, our old sidewalks are worn enough that they really need to be replaced. So the sidewalk and front entry project consists of replacement of the old sidewalks, as well as a refresh of our main front entryway. You can see the red coloring in this diagram. That is the area where new concrete and refresh work will need to be accomplished. To get a better perspective on this, here's an aerial shot of the property. Zooming into the area indicated by the arrow takes us to a street level view of our current front entry. Note that we had some large rhododendrons here. They've already been taken out for this project. Removing those large plants really makes the front doors much more visible and inviting. To maximize the front entry welcome, we're not only going to replace the sidewalks, but we will also raise up the front entryway by adding a concrete retainer block wall. I've asked AI to give me an artistic rendition of this, and here it is. Trust me, it's actually going to look a lot better even in person. And this will make our front entryway much more inviting, safe, and accessible for all. This project also includes adding a matching retainer wall along this portion of the property, and this will match the front entry retaining wall, but it will also allow us to place a pathway up along the side of the building on which we can drive a golf cart and drop people off in the back entryway as needed. Let me next move on to project number 2, which is a grade and the pave of the parking lot. The goal would be to pave the entire parking lot. Paving may take place in 2 phases. The first being the first half of the parking lot, all the way to the covered play shed, and the second portion being all the way through the rest of the back portion of the parking lot. We're going to add parking lot lighting, which will be extremely helpful, especially during the winter months. Project number 3 is the youth room stage, music equipment, and furnishings. And the plan is to build out a stage and populate the youth room with equipment so that the youth can worship in the youth room during their Wednesday night gatherings. Here's an artistic rendition, also thanks to the help of AI. And what we're aiming for, this is kind of a bare bones budget on this, but what we're aiming for is just a minimum amount to get in for some worship with some good used worship gear. A 4th project is our projector replacement. Some of you have heard me mention this in the past. Our projectors are old and they're not very bright. It's difficult to see what's on the screen and to watch videos. And so this will upgrade the number of lumens with 2 new projectors. And then finally, the last project is not very glamorous, but let's be honest, it's essential, and that is a replacement of our IT server. That's the backbone of our IT system, and ours is now past end of life, and so we'd like to replace that. And you can see the project amounts listed on each of these. So what I'm doing is I'm inviting you to participate with all of us as we pursue these projects. Our number 1 goal is to get into the expansion as quickly and expediently as possible, and we're well on our way. We plan to fully occupy this expansion this summer, and so would you consider sowing into this project either with direct funds or a matching pledge of some sort? And as we complete these projects, I think we're just going to have an even more inviting space and discipleship training center to reach more people with the good news about what God has done for us through Christ Jesus. God bless you today. Thank you for your time.